Welcome back to Crypto Lodge. I'm covering Holochain. Just off the cuff, one take. We're gonna figure out what this is together, as Jam Nafu had asked me to cover it. So let's take a look at this. Well, first of all, let's go to the COINMARKETCAP. This way we can check out it implemented XDAI chain and Ethereum. It's an Ethereum token with XDAI chain, sidechain. Here's the source code, the white paper, and two websites. Okay. It's up a little bit today. Market cap, not price. Flat. It's a good one to arbitrage on. To buy low, sell high. Just volatile but sideways. Perfect. So it says here, Holo is a peer-to-peer distributed platform for hosting decentralized applications using Holochain, a framework for developing DApps, and does not require the use of blockchain technology. The goal of Holo is to serve as a bridge between the broader internet and apps built using the Holochain, offering an ecosystem and marketplace in which DApps are easily accessible as they are hosted on the internet by Holo network participants. The Holo network will be facilitated using a token called Holo Fuel, which is actively being tested and will act as an account system to pay hosts for their services. In 2018, the project minted an ERC20 token, HOT, also known as Holo token, as an IOU that will be redeemable for Holo Fuel upon launch. Holo is still in development and is expected to launch for open alpha and beta testing by 2021. So that's important to know. That's why you always come to CoinMarketCap before going straight to the project website. And I also like to look at the GitHub to see how often the code's being updated. So Holochain scalable framework for P2P distributed apps. For all those projects you wish you could take from centralized web servers but can't scale on blockchain. It's got 6 people, not anonymous. Repositories, Holochain, updated. Let's see. Chat UI, blog theme, who cares? Chat, layer, private key store. Holochain was last updated 4 hours ago. That's good. And here's this little spark chart here. It represents the past year of activity. So lately it's gone down, but it's in active development. So I give the GitHub an A+. Last updated 4 hours ago. I want to know what the deal is. The white paper is going to have to tell me of how it's not a blockchain. Holo green paper. Holo is a bridge to link our advanced crypto technology, Holochain, and everyday users. This document explains how Holo works and the business model and funding that supports it. Holo currency paper. We present a cryptocurrency design pattern scalable and efficient enough to operate on global scale without specialized hardware and without consensus. Holochain white paper. Here we go. Because the HOT token is an IOU for the Holochain token. Holochain white paper. We present a scalable, agent-centric distributed computing platform. We use a formalist We need this. This is it. All right. How long is it? All right. Nobody's going to read this. It's got algorithms and mathematics. So let's go to Holochain and see if they have a video about see if they have a YouTube channel. Actual user Holochain. There it is. There it is. What is Holochain?
Hello, my name is Paul, and I work with the Holochain project, where my job is to figure out how to explain Holochain to the world. What it is, how it works, and why you should care. Sometimes it feels like a big job, like I'm being asked to describe reality in one paragraph and give at least 3 examples. Not that I think that Holochain equals reality or anything, but reality and Holochain are both kind of complex. Not complicated, which is kind of a bad word in engineering, but just that the level of complexity is appropriate to the problem at hand. And maybe that's the best place to start. What problem is Holochain actually trying to solve? Generally, it's the same problem that everyone in the DWeb space is trying to solve. Concentration of power, which leads to loss of human agency, which leads to all sorts of other nasties. Everything from my internet is down and I can't access my reports now to a major democratic nation just got hacked by social media and now it's throwing 500 errors. But when you take the big organization out of the middle, it gets a bit messy. With no police force, there's no way to tell who or what can be trusted. And infrastructure can break down too, and there's nobody to fix it. These are serious usability problems, and the centralized world has largely figured them out, for better or for worse. Centralization means maintainability and simplicity for engineers, and top-down enforceable safety and reliability for users. And the DWeb needs to figure these problems out, or nobody's going to want to use it. We just want the simplicity, reliability, and safety of the centralized internet, along with the self-determination that people want. Is that too much to ask? That's why the decentralized world spends so much of its effort on system integrity. Depending on the application, that means different things. It could be event ordering, availability, access control, authentication, data validity. Now, before I get into how Holochain tackles these issues differently, there's a few plain details that I want to share about what it actually is. Holochain is a framework for building peer-to-peer applications. It aims to ensure system integrity without needing central peer-to-peer that I want to share about what it actually is. Holochain is a framework for building peer-to-peer applications. It aims to ensure system integrity without needing central coordination. There's no servers and there's no blockchain ledger. Each application enjoys its own isolated network built by all the people who use it without any particular maintenance effort on their part. So now that we know what Holochain is, let's go back to how it tackles system integrity. Right. So now, while blockchain inherits the centralized world's assumption that there must be a single authoritative truth, Holochain starts with a simple observation about the real world. The only thing that really exists is individual agents making observations and then taking actions, and most of the time that works out pretty okay. That's because as we gather information, we share our observations with others, and we receive their observations in turn, and gradually everybody's perspectives converge on a pretty decent approximation of the truth. Now, let's see how this works in practice. So in Holochain, the basic ontological unit is the agent. That's you, or rather the software that runs on your behalf. For every application you use, the Holochain runtime hosts a piece of code on your machine called the application's DNA. You exercise your agency in this application the same way you always do on a computer. You do something, and it triggers a function call. The difference here is that everything is happening on your machine. Your DNA exposes some functions as an agent-facing API, and these functions can write data, retrieve data, process it, and connect with other agents in the network. Now, whenever the DNA wants to change local state, Holochain records that action in an event journal. There's one journal for each application. And your DNA is also expected to expose a set of functions that act as a validation API. They encode the rules that define what valid data looks like. What squares is the knight allowed to move to? How long is a tweet? Can you have a negative balance on your account? Who's allowed to look at the company directory and who can add new entries? Now, since you and your peers judge each other's integrity based on the data that you produce, this is pretty darn important. These rules govern the actions of the group of people who belong to the application's network. They prevent you from accidentally doing something bad, and they help you detect malicious intent in the people that you're interacting with. So this is Holochain's first pillar of system integrity, intrinsic data validity. The application's validation rules, plus some basic cryptographic proofs provided by Holochain itself, help you deterministically answer the question, given what I can see, does everything look correct? But a lot of peer-to-peer technologies do that. For most applications, especially finance, law, governance, that's not quite enough. You also need to know things like, is what I'm seeing everything that there is to see? You need some way of knowing that the person you're about to buy a house from, for instance, hasn't already sold that same house to somebody else last week. So, for this, Holochain adds peer witnessing. You see, some of the data that you write to your journal gets shared. First, of course, any application data that's meant for other people to see, like tweets and other public things, but also the header for each of your journal entries. Then a small random selection of your peers gets that data that you produce, validate it against their copy of the rules, and then they store it. This creates a shared database for the application. It's held collectively by all the users. This is great for availability, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but the important thing here is that the network remembers what you've done. And the most basic rule, the rule shared by all Holochain applications, is that you can't modify data that you've already written to your journal. It's an event log, it's not a random access table or anything like that. And if any of your peers catch you tampering with this journal, they remember this and report it to the next person who wants to check up on you. So the other thing that your peers do is they check the integrity of all the application data that gets published to the shared database. The neat thing about this is that if any of it breaks the application's rules, the validators broadcast a message. It's kind of like an antibody that lets others identify the bad actor. This gives the network a sort of immune system that lets it respond more rapidly and efficiently to threats. Rather than waiting for someone to discover invalid data when they retrieve it, the validators can sound the alarm as soon as it's published and take action. Usually that looks like ejecting the bad actor from the network. So this is sounding kind of complicated, but fortunately all this stuff either happens in the background or is abstracted behind an SDK that gives you pretty straightforward data points for your code to act on. Now, going back to availability, spreading the data across all the users' machines also makes the whole thing more resilient to network disruptions. You always have access to your own data, even when you're offline. And there's a pretty good chance that you and your office mates on the same network can still connect with each other and share the information that you do have. This helps reduce lost days of productivity because some poor admin fat-fingered a command in a faraway data center. Not that that's ever happened to any of us. Anyway, the nice thing about dropping the need for a single source of truth is that Holochain is just a lot more responsive and efficient than blockchain. There's no effort wasted on reaching global consensus, and because only a small selection of peers holds each piece of data, the individual burden of participation is pretty light. We expect that for most applications, it'll be light enough for a smartphone. In fact, in our early tests, we managed to run 50 instances of a DAO-like application on a Raspberry Pi, which is not that bad. So, enough about how Holochain works under the hood. What can you actually build with it? Well, pretty much just normal apps. It's just a framework. It's just one that happens to not need a server in the middle. You can build online communities, team productivity tools, knowledge repositories, supply chains, IoT networks, financial apps, etc. And it even has some value as a local first plus cloud backup system for your own personal data. So you might be wondering, what's it like to build a Holochain app? Well, I won't lie, it's definitely different. Some of your design choices will get harder. For instance, when there's no single source of truth and not everything lives in one place, you might have to get clever about how you model and represent data. The shared database is just a big hash table with links between records. So you do have to think of it as sort of a graph database. And you have to think about what data is safe to share and what should stay private on people's devices. But other things actually get a lot easier. For instance, security and scaling and uptime are a lot more manageable because there's no centralized failure points. And in terms of modeling user-centered business logic, all of your code runs from the perspective of the individual agent, and there's no such thing as user registrations and logins. Everyone just represents themselves with a public key that they create. And niceness is built in. You don't have to worry quite as much about the moral or legal impact of data collection because privacy is kind of default. Users aren't locked into a particular way of interacting with your application either because the app runs on their machines and they can call the API of the application however they like. And they can always take their data with them if they decide to leave. And if you're used to writing blockchain applications, it's a bit more forgiving. Upgrading an app or forking a network isn't a governance crisis like it is on blockchain. It's just a normal part of the DevOps cycle. So where is Holochain at right now? Is it ready to build on? Holochain isn't production stable or feature complete yet, but it's definitely ready to start hacking and prototyping on. We've spent the last year refactoring it based on feedback from devs and our own learnings, and devs are telling us it's pretty nice to work with now. So if you want to start working on a Holochain app, here are some details that you need to know. DNAs, the backend of your application, run in a WebAssembly sandbox. So you'll need to write in a language that compiles to WASM. And we've also got an SDK for Rust, which makes things easier. You can write your front end with any language, framework, or toolkit that you like. You just need to remember that it runs on your users' devices. It talks to their locally running Holochain runtime using RPC calls over WebSocket. Now, in terms of platform support, Holochain and the dev tools run on Linux, or Windows 10 with WSL2, or any machine with a Linux VM. And we're also working on native macOS and Windows support. Now, mobile isn't supported yet, but getting Holochain working on resource-constrained devices has always been a top priority for us, so that'll help when we do start looking at mobile. The networking code works, all traffic is end-to-end encrypted, and we run a public bootstrap server to help peers discover each other, and a public proxy server to help punch through NAT gateways and firewalls. There's a small but growing ecosystem of tools, libraries, and learning materials to help you get started, and the community is just really lovely and really supportive. And lastly, we're building a hosting service, decentralized of course, called HoloHost, which will let you offer your apps to users over the traditional web. And that's it. Thanks for joining me, and I hope all this made sense, and I'm excited to start talking with you about Holochain.
They're actually building things. Here's something from a week ago. Elemental chess demo and Kizuna demo 4 hours ago. What's Kizuna? Distributed peer-to-peer.
Right now we are running
non-profit messaging application that prioritizes. So it's a privacy chat.
I've already set up the Kizuna, so right now we're running.
I like it. I do like it. I think ask and you shall receive. Gem Nafu. So Holochain. Let's see. This. Holo is a cloud hosting market for distributed applications.
We use the internet to make plans, connect, work, and play together. The internet hosts our lives. So why do we entrust it to organizations who typically don't have our best interests at heart? Most of our communications flow through centralized web servers where corporations control our online experience. They collect our information, limit our access to it, and then sell it to advertisers. And because a centralized internet concentrates power, it's vulnerable. It can be censored, hacked, and manipulated. The internet is broken. But what if no one stood between you and your data or dictated how you connect with friends, family, and community? If the internet were free from central control, it would vastly expand humanity's potential for creativity and collaboration. It would change the whole game. We know this world is possible, which is why we created Holo. Holo is a community rebuilding the internet by and for the users. Rather than running information through centralized corporate servers like Amazon and Google, Holo offers peer-to-peer web applications that replace the middleman with the spare computing power from our own devices. This creates a cloud run by users like you and me.
Holo gives you back control of your data and online relationships. This isn't just file hosting. This is distributed crypto apps, small and large, all the way up to Facebook scale. But we can't launch this alone. We need you to run a slice of this new net. And we don't want venture capital to take control of this space. That's why we've built all this without it. And now we're asking you and your friends to step up, get a hosting box, and take back the internet.
Simply get a Holo hosting box. Enable yourself and others to access distributed apps through a web browser. And get paid in our secure cryptocurrency, Holo Fuel. Holo Fuel can then be used to pay hosts for data storage and processing. Plus, it makes in-app purchases and micropayments easy. Apps available on Holo are built on Holochain, an alternative to blockchain technology that is massively faster, more energy efficient, more scalable, and 10,000 times cheaper. Holochain architecture is so lightweight that you can operate a full Facebook-scale node from a single smartphone. That's great news for developers who can build fast applications that scale organically. The easiest way to help launch Holo and participate in its growth is to purchase a Holoport, a pre-configured computer we've optimized to host crypto apps. Just plug it in, connect it to the internet, and start earning. We've teamed up with a world-class hardware supplier to produce 3 different Holoports, each with a different capacity for earning Holo Fuel. Choose the Holoport that works best for you and quickly earn back the cost of your purchase. If you claim one of the first 1,000, you'll become a founding member. At Holo, we're building the future of the internet, one that doesn't impose or exploit, but empowers.
Join our community. Run Holo. Earn crypto. Together, we can build a better internet.
I like it. And I want a HoloHub. And looking here, looks like the biggest wallet holds 20% of the supply. That's not bad. You compare it to other cryptos, like let's just put in Doge. %, biggest holder. About ETH. They don't tell you holders? It doesn't give you ETH holders. That's weird. Ethereum developer Tim Biko announced in his blog that Ethereum's London hard fork will launch on August 4th. Wow. That's another reason for prices pumping. But it's crazy they don't show holders. Wallets. Who owns the most? ETH. They do it for every other coin. Let's look at ATRI. They don't show it here either. Why do some report it and not others? I don't like that. How about Hex holders? Top holder holds. Wow. That is very, very decentralized. The top holder owns 54%. But that number has to be wrong because this number is bigger. No, it's not. Just looks bigger. So 0.54% is the biggest holder in Hex. I'm bullish on that. How's Hex been doing price-wise? Locking it up might be smart, man. People made a lot of money on Hex. But it went up really high, really fast, so it's been coming down. Not much. But this video is about Holochain. I give it an A+ for the GitHub. It's updated all the time. GM Nafu, I like it. Of course, this is not financial advice, financial opinion. I think it's a good investment. And I think getting a HoloHub is a good investment. So, I'm glad you asked me to look into this. It's on my list of good coins. And they're moving away from Ethereum and making a blockchain that's instant and free. It's amazing. I love it. And I want to participate in it and earn. So yes. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Crypto Lodge out.